Good morning on this beautiful day. Thank you all for coming, and I especially want to thank the media that is here today to help us get the word out and build the excitement for our Susan G. Komen Philadelphia More Than Pink Walk. That rings new to everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elaine Grobman, and I'm the CEO for Susan G. Komen Philadelphia. Let's go back 12 months to bring us to this time. It's been an intense time for Susan G. Komen and for our board. The decision to say goodbye to our race for the cure after 28 years and introduce the More Than Pink Walk was not an easy one. Our board and I looked at every angle. We weighed the short and the long-term impact on our community very carefully. We took into account where the mission has been, where we are, and where we need to go. Ultimately, what it came down to was that the demands placed on Susan G. Komen are even greater. There are more survivors. There are more people living with metastatic breast cancer, more men and women practicing early detection and risk assessment and risk avoidance, more local hospitals ramping up for their outreach programs, more researchers pursuing incredible, promising avenues. Komen Philadelphia has responsibility to all of them. We are the #1 resource for getting the job done and saving lives. When we looked at all this and took into account the data, and it showed that the race funding had plateaued in the last few years, this question remained. It is time for change. It was time to shake things up. It was time to infuse new energy to Mother's Day. It was time to put the focus back on mission, education, fundraising, and impact. And it was time to rally our community to do more than just show up at Eakins Oval. It was time to do more to inspire action. So here we are. We decided to make the Delaware Valley a shining example of becoming one of the first More Than Pink Walk communities. Again, it wasn't easy, but we know it's right. We know that this is a big change for our community. But in my experience, there are 3 ways to deal with change. You can resist it, you can sit back and let it happen and accept it, or you can be the visionary, and then change will come. In 1991, no one ever dared to talk about breast cancer. Komen Philadelphia was the one with the vision. We made the conversation happen. For 3 decades, with every evolution of breast cancer movement, we have been making big changes happen. By bringing the More Than Pink Walk to our community, we are making another bold move, a move that will be a world without breast cancer, making it a reality. At this time, I am pleased to invite our President, Ron Harper, to join me at the mic. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Elaine. On behalf of the Komen Philadelphia Board of Directors, I thank everyone in this room for getting behind the Komen Philadelphia More Than Pink Walk. Whether you leave here this morning and share our story with your viewers and readers, or go back to your office and start your walk team. As influencers in your respective circles, you will help build momentum for our first walk. This walk is something the Komen Philadelphia organization believes in wholeheartedly. It is something the national Komen organization believes in and has invested significant resources to support. Moreover, we are very proud that Komen Philadelphia is one of the first Komen affiliates to make this bold move, and that by 2020, every one of our sister affiliates will be following our lead by holding a walk. Everything about our walk has been strategically and carefully designed to gain the attention and participation of an incredible community of breast cancer activists. This is why I can say without a doubt that the 2019 Komen Philadelphia More Than Pink Walk will be an enormous success for our organization, our mission, our community, and our sponsors. Again, on behalf of our organization, I thank you for all that you will do in the days, weeks, and months ahead to bring about and to share in that success with us. Everything that you do to rally support for the More Than Pink Walk will move us all closer to a world without breast cancer. That is a world in which every person diagnosed with breast cancer is certain to survive it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. It's my pleasure now to introduce to you a friend of Komen, who, if you live in the city of Philadelphia, you'll know very well our very special city councilman at large, Alan Dom. I'd like to welcome him.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Elaine. It's my honor to be representing the City of Philadelphia this morning and to be giving Komen Philadelphia our full and enthusiastic support of the new More Than Pink wall. And by the way, on behalf of the City of Philadelphia, Elaine, 29 years of your commitment to this event, we owe you a debt of gratitude, really. It's pretty amazing. I think we should all honor it. They say a strong leader knows when to move on, what's familiar and comfortable, and take a risk for the greater good. This is in large part what we celebrate here today. After 28 years, the Komen Philadelphia Race for the Cure has served our community, not to mention the global fight against breast cancer. And because of it, Komen Philadelphia has been able to drive better treatment and greater survival rates by contributing $27 million to breast cancer research. They have funded more than 176,000 free mammograms for women in need in our neighborhoods. They've empowered our local hospitals and doctors with more than $62.5 million in grants to increase early detection practices and treat breast cancer in our community. But Elaine and Komen Philadelphia's Board of Directors saw that even with these great achievements and the progress they've driven, more needed to be done to accelerate that progress. And so Komen Philadelphia is doing it, something they've never done before. They're being a leader. They're making a bold move in order to change the game in the fight against breast cancer. Let me correct that. Something they've always done before is to be a leader. They're leading our community on a bigger, better, more promising path. They are guiding us away from the race which we've all known and loved, and inviting us to experience our power to do even more as a community through the More Than Pink Walk. For this, I applaud them. We know that change is never easy. The decision to make the walk a contained event will be one of the biggest changes for our community. But like Komen Philadelphia, I believe it will also be one of the best for the mission we all share. While some may see gates on the outside of Eakins Oval on Mother's Day, the only thing I will see is a community of the most passionate activists on the inside. I'll proudly take my place with them and do everything I can to help stop the 41,000 needless deaths, 41,000, that occur at the hands of breast cancer every year in our country. But even before that, my staff, family, and I are heeding the messages of the More Than Pink Walk by taking action now to network and bring more donors to the mission. May 12th will be a wonderful day of community and celebration, but the real fight happens every day. The fundraising required to save more lives is a year-round effort for which everyone has a responsibility. Again, my staff and I embrace this responsibility proudly and with a very strong commitment to our present and future. I know without a doubt that the More Than Pink Walk and all those who support it will once again put Philadelphia on the map for having the courage, the commitment, and the confidence to change the face of breast cancer. And by the way, I've been told 10,000 people participated last year. 500 ran, 9,500 walked. And I thought you were just changing it so that I could participate and walk, okay? And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce a man who in many ways has paved the way for me in Philadelphia. In fact, when I was running for office, there were only 4 people who endorsed me. The Board of Realtors, thank God, the Chamber of Commerce, my mother, and Governor Rendell. And so I want to bring, he was brought about so many wonderful things to this city. I learned from him constantly, including last week when I attended an event he had at the Philadelphian where he spoke. And I always learn from listening to the governor. And I learned several things last week. So it's proud of me to introduce the Honorable Edward G. Rendell.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Alan. I'm proud to be in the company with your mother. She's a wise woman. You know, I'm here because I've marched in the walk and spoken at the walk for all 29 years. It started the first year that I was running for mayor in 1991. I stayed on through my time as mayor, my time as governor. Even when I was Democratic Party chairman all over the country, I came back on Mother's Day. The walk is, for me, like it is for so many, many, many people from our area, personal, because it's hard to imagine anybody who hasn't lost a friend or a coworker to breast cancer. And the judge and I lost 2 of our best friends, Gigi White and Susie Greenberg, both in their early 50s to breast cancer. And it seemed to me that that was something we had to do everything we could in our power to change. And through the years, we've been successful, no question about it. The survival rate for breast cancer has gone way up. In fact, I remember at the early walks and the early races, when the survivors come down the Art Museum steps, and I'm told we're going to keep that important part of the event because it is a moving part of the event. And they would come down in their pink shirts. There were just a couple of handfuls of survivors. Now there are literally hundreds of survivors, young women, older women, everyone proud to have survived and hopeful and optimistic that their ranks can grow. And their ranks will grow, and they'll grow because of the fundraising efforts of so many groups across the country and across the city. But in the forefront of that has been Komen and Philadelphia Komen. They have done a fabulous job. I said as mayor and as governor that our area, I think, is as charitable and giving as any area in the United States. And Komen has always been the premier fundraising event in the city of Philadelphia. Many of you in the room have worked for Komen or have donated, but you don't get the chance to stand up at the podium and look over the sea of people that come out to try to help the cause. These changes are changes for the better. The race for the cure became victim of its own success. I've had many people say to me, well, breast cancer, we've solved that. I mean, people still get breast cancer, but nobody dies. That's, of course, incorrect. But there is that impression out there. And in some ways, we've been the victim of our own success. That's got to change. We've got to educate. We've got to reinvigorate the mission. We've got to convince Philadelphians and folks from this area that the fight goes on. And the fight is an exciting fight for the very reason that I said we're making progress. We're making tangible progress. And when you look back at where it was 29 years ago when we started and where it is today, it's really unbelievable the progress that's been made. But we're on the cusp of making more progress. And what was said about, what Ron said about seeing the day when there is no breast cancer, or no breast cancer that's fatal, I think that day is within reach. I used to say every day I spoke that this is my 22nd year or 23rd year. I look forward to the day when I can sleep in on Mother's Day, because no one dies from breast cancer anymore. I think it's feasible, but Komen has to lead the way. And the race for the cure was fabulous. More Than Pink, and I think it's very important that when we spread the word about More Than Pink, we still make it clear that More Than Pink doesn't mean we're branching out on our target. Our target is still breast cancer. Our mission is to make sure that no one dies of breast cancer. Everything we raise will be given to those causes, to treatment, to prevention, to extending life, to research, all of those things. But I think the way Elaine has described it to me, there's going to be an educational portion of the event. And I think that's very important because, as I said, there are people out there who think the battle is over. They think it's somewhat like AIDS, where people still get AIDS, but almost nobody dies of AIDS anymore. That's not true. We've made significant progress, but the fight goes on. And we have allies, but Komen carries the flag for us here in Philadelphia. So I'm pleased to be here today, pleased to say that, Lord willing, I will be at number 29. I just signed up to be the honorary chairman of the sesquicentennial. I think I got that right. 250th anniversary of the country. I'm signed up to be honorary chairman. It's in 2026. I said to the people who asked me, if I sign up to be honorary chairman, is that guaranteed that I'll be here for the celebration? So I hope I'm at least here for the 40th, 45th, maybe even the 50th celebration of our event. So to all of you who are the backbone of the event, thank you for what you've done and thank you for what you will do. And for the citizens out there who are listening to us or reading about this, come on out and support Komen. It's worth it. We're winning, but we might win the battle if we get more soldiers. So I thank you, and I want to apologize. I have to leave. People always ask me, what's the difference between being in office or being in the private sector? And I say that I have found out that when people pay you, they expect you to show up on time. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Fred Stein. I am an event producer, and for the last 28 years, I've been volunteered to produce Race for the Cure by Elaine Grobman. So now that this is a new one, I'm not doing it anymore. Not Race for the Cure. So my function this morning is to basically tell you about More Than Pink, to get in a little bit about the explanation of it, the logistics, and to understand just how it has progressed. Actually, the event is maturing, but it's young and new. Okay? So we're going to start. There's a lot of content that's already been covered. I'm not going to go again. Unlike Ed Rendell, I have some notes here, so forgive me if I go through these. But one of the reasons why this changed, and there's two major reasons, is cost consideration. The Race for the Cure, as it's expanded in scope and in participation, has gotten more expensive. However, registrations have gone down through the years. One of the reasons is this was always primarily a run. There are so many runs in this region that it's getting competitive and conflicting, and we're losing people. As was mentioned, there were only a few hundred runners last year, many more walkers, but what we want is we want an event that will be part of inclusion, not exclusion. It was mentioned that we're going to gate this and close the Eakins Oval. That's not for exclusion, it's for inclusion. Okay? So, the more meaningful part of why More Than Pink is going to be discussed is because of the enrichment and the reward of now being able to get more information, education, not just fun and music and food, that's part of this, but to spend more time along the oval, and you'll see some of the examples coming up, for inclusion and enrichment. And that's where More Than Pink and the 4 pillars come in. Okay, so let's go through this. What we have, and there are 4 colors that you may have seen in the bottom. Just to let you know, I'm colorblind, so I have no idea which they are. Okay, but I'm going to use a pointer here. It just so happens it's one of the colors because someone told me this is green. Okay, so as you can see, we're keeping absolutely the art museum and using the steps. Okay, we're starting a little bit later. We're starting at 8 a.m., where traditionally we've started at 7 a.m., and people from York, Pennsylvania, from Delaware, they've spent an hour and a half to get here by 6:30 and 7 a.m. We're going to start a little bit later. However, we're not ending as we normally would at 10:15 or so. We're going to keep going till almost noon because we have so much going on. But a very brief program, not a lengthy program on the Art Museum steps. There'll be a couple of speakers, and this year we're going to focus on survivor and also a survivor of metastatic breast cancer. And they'll talk, and then we start truly with the tradition, as Ed mentioned, many other people, is our parade of hope, if you will. The top of the Art Museum steps, okay? A dozen years ago, we had survivors participating, but they would wave because they're in the crowd, and what we wanted to do is to showcase the survivors. The first year, we decided we're going to do, it's the Rocky Steps. We're not going to have them run up the steps. We're going to have them come down. It's increased. At the height, there were about 5,000 survivors up there. Just before every one of those processions down, I would say to the people there and shout with my bullhorn, I expect to see every one of you here next year. And take your time walking down. This is not the run. Well, I'm not going to say that this coming year because there is no run, but they're going to take their time walking down. So the difference here is when the survivors get to the bottom of the steps right here, they're going to lead our walk. And I'll get into the logistics of the walk in just a second. Okay? Now, as I mentioned, we are going, this dotted line here is basically traditional barricades that you would see along the race that would guide the runners and the walkers. What we're doing is enclosing Eakins Oval. There'll be major entrance points here, 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 at the bottom here, it's 23rd Street, our primary registration area, and then up here over by 25th Street. Those people who are arriving and have pre-registered, they're going to get an e-ticket and an e-band, and then they could either bring it, print it out, or use their phone, because that's what everybody does nowadays. So when they enter here, there's no delay. For the people who have not pre-registered, and believe me, we're encouraging pre-registration because the cost is actually less than last year in terms of registering. So we want to encourage that. If you haven't, we're going to bring you over or escort you over to the registration area where you'll be able to go right in from there, okay? And you're going to see how this is going to fill up in a second. But as you know, the survivors come down the steps. We're going to start right here on the street, and we're going to continue down. We're going to go straight down through the center lanes, and this continues down to Eakins Oval. From Eakins Oval to Logan's Circle. Okay? So it's a nice walk. It's about 1.2, 1.3 miles on a round trip. People who cannot make the entire way may stop at 20th or maybe 22nd Street and walk back. We're going to have many people who may want to walk a second time. Okay? But the aim is, when they get down to the bottom, they return, make the loop back, and they come right into Eakins Oval, because this is where what we'll call our festival will begin. Okay? So we're gonna start with these, and I'm gonna show you each one of them. Okay. So we have 4 pillar tents right here. That's the more than pink. Those pillar tents stand for research, care, community, and action. They're not just tents with a display and a poster. There'll be people, professionals, caring people inside those tents to communicate. Not just pass out information, but do one-on-one with our citizens who are here. Because we're expecting a lot of people who have questions and they want answers. This is the primary location for that. But there's much more going on from there. We have the Hope Village. You see right here. The Hope Village is for survivors, metastatic breast cancer, forever fighters, who we're calling them. And this is a resource and a support building tent for this important community. The next is ShopRite Survivors Breakfast Tent. Do you have that coming up? ShopRite has been a supporter of this event for so many years, and they're committed to making this even the best one. And all of the survivors gather for an early morning breakfast and camaraderie. And it's amazing when you go in there, the positive spirit that exists there. Also new this year is a VIP fundraising tent. Okay? Now, Trumark Financial Credit Union is an amazing new sponsor with us. They have committed to this, and it's an area that's going to be for high-impact fundraising. Okay? And this goes hand in hand with the renewed focus of raising some more money, because every dollar that's netted here goes to helping the people who we care about the most. Okay? The next is stage and entertainment. Of course, we have it going here. We're going to have a lot more entertainment throughout here. Okay? And what's amazing with that is there'll be live music, pre-recorded music, community groups, and maybe a special presentation, a special performance or two that we'll announce later on. Okay? We have entertainment everywhere in here, just so you know. Okay? Now, we have our Resources Expo. Okay? And that's right out here. That's for people who haven't registered, who want to hang out. We always have a lot of registration, but there's also a lot of times where people come in just because it's a great place to be on Mother's Day. And even though we're not gating this to exclude, but to include anybody who happens to be on a perimeter, we want to feel a part of this, and we're going to have a special expo. Okay? As I said, we're beginning an hour later, so that's 8 a.m. This fills up. We have plenty of room for everyone. We're hoping that if we need to expand this even more in future years, but that's important. Okay? Excuse me. I'm going to turn the lectern over to our next speaker in a second, but I've spent quite a bit of time on the Parkway in the past few years, 28 years specifically with this. When I arranged a visit of the Pope Francis, the Holy Father here, spent a lot of time on the Parkway and throughout the city. I guess earlier this year I did an event involving this same area, had a lot of barricades, but it was inclusive, and we had about 1.3 million people for a Super Bowl parade. I think the Eagles decided not to have one this year because they wanted me to spend more time on More Than Pink. At least that's the only excuse that I could give. So, but this More Than Pink is what we're focusing on and what, we're trying to get everyone excited about it. Okay? So, to assist with these final features that we're going to discuss, I'd like to have a few activists come up, and I'm going to ask with Lorelei McGlade and Dr. Grassa. Is she here? Jennifer? Yeah, there she is. Come on up.
Good morning. My name is Lorelei McGlade, and I stand here today as a breast cancer survivor. I also stand here as a niece who 10 years ago lost her aunt to this disease. Not a day goes by that I don't wonder if more could have been done to save her life. And I stand here as a daughter when my mother was diagnosed the same year that her sister passed. When I was diagnosed, my 2 girls were under 4 years old, yet my oldest knew enough to ask me not if she would get breast cancer, but when she would get breast cancer. My oldest is now in college, and thanks to Komen Philadelphia, she has a much different outlook on her power over breast cancer. I have supported Komen Philadelphia for over a decade now, and they have supported me. I cannot picture my life without this cause and without my Komen Philadelphia family. As a survivor, a mother, a daughter, a Latina, as a woman, I thank them for making this bold move to the More Than Pink walk. I thank them for not just being satisfied with the way things are going, but for having the drive to get us to the finish line faster. On behalf of all my breast cancer survivors, I proudly support the More Than Pink walk. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Generosa Grana. I want to thank Elaine for inviting me here today. And I want to second what Governor Rendell said. This is personal. This is a personal fight for women, men, and families. As the director of the MD Anderson Cancer Center at Cooper, we've tremendously benefited from the support that the Komen Foundation has given us. The Cooper Breast Health Program and I have received funds from Komen Philadelphia since 2004. That's 15 years of funding supporting thousands of free mammograms and cancer care for women diagnosed with breast cancer. And that has happened because of the community of fundraisers that have put their energies together to raise funds and to support Komen. My program has, again, provided thousands of mammograms for women in need. And because of Komen, my program and over a dozen other programs in the tri-state area have provided services, have been able to make sure women without insurance receive screening, diagnostic services, and, when needed, treatment. We've been able to break down barriers such as language, culture, and poverty. Every day, we give women and their families hope, and we give them strength. Great work is happening, but as everyone has said this morning, there is so much more to be done. Although breast cancer is a word that everybody recognizes, I think many assume that the battle has been won, and we are far from that. I treat breast cancer, and I treat breast cancer every day, and patients are still dying. On behalf of the Komen Philadelphia grantee community, I express our excitement about the More Than Pink walk. I express our excitement about everything that this walk embodies, the change in focus, and the new energy that will be brought to bear. I thank every walk supporter who donates even just a single dollar, as every dollar donation will help to ensure that no woman, no man, because we do see men, and no family is turned away, and we continue to provide services and support that are so badly needed in our community. Thank you, Elaine, and thank you to the board.
As was mentioned, there are quite a few great partners to More Than Pink walk. this year. Many of them have been previous supporters and sponsors. I'd love to acknowledge them. And for those reps who are here today with us, if you would just stand when I mention the organization. Okay? And we're going to start off with the one I mentioned earlier, TrueMark Financial Credit Union, official sponsor of High Impact Fundraising, and mission sponsor of the Community Pillars. Okay, thank you. CBS 3 and CW Philly, our media partner. Wawa, always a tradition. They provide breakfast for everyone and plenty of it. Dietz and Watson, they'll be grilling up again for us. Okay. And finally, Entercom and the Entercom radio stations, including, just so you know, Sherry Gregg, KYW 1060, B101, 94 WIP, 98.1 WOGL, Talk Radio 1210, and 96.5 TDY FM. Okay, so great partners. They're actually moving into the city right around the corner from, you know, where we're going to be. And, you know, let's look at what is the future hold. So let's hear from our More Than Walk co-chairs for this year, 2019. They're going to share a few noticeable changes. Please welcome Jody Kravitz and Melissa Landay.
Good morning. As breast cancer survivors, Melissa and I are so very grateful to see all of you here embracing the More Than Pink Walk. And obviously, we support this move 100%. As Fred mentioned, we are going to take a minute to share a few more noticeable changes that will distinguish the walk from the race. Our most important message in sharing these is that every single change has been implemented with one thing in mind: accelerating the life-saving work of Komen Philadelphia, its grantees and researchers. These changes will make for a richer, more memorable, and meaning experience to all of our participants. And we are confident that we will inspire great fundraising. And I'll let Melissa now run down the changes for you.
Thanks, Jody. First, 2019 More Than Pink Walk t-shirts will now be a recognition vehicle, meaning that anyone raising $100 or more will receive one t-shirt. T-shirts will not be an automatic perk for registering. The exception is for registered breast cancer survivors and metastatic breast cancer forever fighters will receive a pink t-shirt to wear during the Parade of Hope. T-shirts can be picked up at the race site. Anyone who registers will receive a Komen wrap. These wraps, all different colors. On the day of the walk, participants will use these to join the celebration during the opening ceremonies of the Parade of Hope. There will also be no packet mailing for registrants this year. If a t-shirt is earned, it can be picked up at a special event held on May 10th and 11th at the Philadelphia 201 Hotel or at the race site on May 12th. As Fred mentioned, anyone who registered will be emailed a barcode to use as their means of entry into the Eakins Oval. We have also eliminated in-person registration events this year prior to the weekend of the walk. People who do not register online can register in person on May 10th and May 11th at the Philadelphia 201 Hotel or at the race site on May 12th. Lastly, and most importantly, participants who show a desire to fundraise will be fully supported in their efforts thanks to an enhanced fundraiser support program. We have a dedicated team of fundraisers ready to go to help team captains and individuals reach and exceed their fundraising goals. Thank you very much.
Here I am again. You've been a wonderfully attentive audience. I want to thank you. But before I move on, I want to express how utterly confident Komen, Philadelphia is in making this move. I go back to 1991, the first Race for the Cure. That was my baby. I've been here that long. I was there at the birth. I experienced the challenges of the most powerful years and everything in between. Too many people have lost sight of the achievements that we have made possible and the distance we need to cover. The Komen, Philadelphia More Than Pink Walk will provide the necessary focus to finish the fight. I'd like to say the More Than Pink Walk is where the end of breast cancer begins. I want you to remember that phrase because we're going to be using it a great deal. With that in mind, I am confident that anyone who is passionate about the cause will embrace the More Than Pink Walk. I'm happy to answer any questions as best I can. Fred, are you here? Fred, come up with me just in case. But if there's any questions, we're here to try to give you answers. Doesn't look like we must have done a very good job because I don't see it.
This is a press conference, so the media, feel free to ask questions. We could answer them, and we provided all the answers already. So,
great.
Anyone? Shall we? No? If not, thank you all.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you.